Jessie Bates.
Jessie Bates going high. Batted by Jessie Bates.
Jessie.
And it is picked off by Cincinnati safety Jessie Bates, who spins around.
Firing into the end zone, pass is intercepted. Intercepted by Bates.
Jessie Bates.
Welcome back to Good Morning Football. Our next guest may be NFL's best safety that you never even heard of. Pro Football Focus ranked him the #1 safety in this season, this last year in 2020. Higher than Tyrann Mathieu, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Jamal Adams. Just 23 years old. He's a young pup. Let's welcome to the show Bengals safety, Jessie Bates the third.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Jessie, thanks for getting up and joining us this morning. Listen, obviously a tough, disappointing season for the Bengals as a team. Joey B goes down, but man, you had it going on in the jungle. When you look at your numbers, you were second-team All-Pro, allowed just 1 touchdown in coverage. We saw the highlights, the interceptions. Listen, so what more do you got to do to get the recognition and get the love down there in Cincinnati?
Yeah, so I just, that's kind of how I've been raised. I've kind of always been under the radar, and I've always kind of looked at it as an opportunity to prove people wrong, to be a part of something special that people just don't believe in, and that's just kind of, how I'm raised. Raised by a single mother. She's never really asked for a lot of attention, awards or anything like that. She just goes to work every day. Live with the cards that are dealt with us. So I've been very blessed in that way.
Obviously, things are a little bit different in Cincinnati and downtown with the pandemic, but when you go out, are people hollering at you? Are you taking photos? Are you doing the selfie thing, signing things? Like, what happens when you go to the Montgomery Inn?
Yeah, I don't think people notice me as much. I think that this year, it happened a lot more often. I had just moved into my new house in Cincinnati, and I have like a little cul-de-sac area, and one of my best friends like, hey, somebody just asked if Jessie Bates stays here. So I'm like, hey, let's keep that low key, but you don't get that very often. It happens here and there, but yeah, I try to avoid that sometimes as well.
Jessie, it's a thrill to have you on the show. We were watching you all season long, and as Sean said, #1 rated safety from PFF. You're a name that is becoming a household name, but so is a player that you went to the same high school as, and that's defensive back Rod Woodson. Both your jersey numbers are retired at Snyder School in Fort Wayne, Indiana. How much did you look up to Rod Woodson when you were growing up, and how crazy is it that you're playing a safety in the NFL, the same position he played and dominated for so long?
Yeah, it's a very, blessed opportunity that, I have to continue to, raise the standard, make this, this dream a reality of mine that, I just always walk through the hallways of Rod Woodson, and his whole showcase would just always be there. And, if you know Rod Woodson, he wasn't only just a football player, he was a really good track athlete. So, I just always kind of use that as motivation, always wanting to have a little, showcase in the halls of Snyder High School back in Fort Wayne. I've accomplished that, but I'm not done.
We can tell, and there's going to be kids walking around Snyder High School looking at you and wanting to be like you when they grow up. It's awesome. So was the experience we had with your quarterback, Joe Burrow. I want to make this personal for us. We tried to have Joe Burrow on the show way back in the spring before the draft when everyone was really new to quarantine. He shows up to do a Zoom interview, and I'm telling you, for an hour, on our end, we couldn't connect with him. The audio wasn't right. The visual wasn't right. It was just an absolute mess. And the guy was so cool and so calm and so patient. We never did the interview, but I feel like we learned a lot about him. Sure enough, he shows up at the NFL and starts balling like it's nothing. What was your experience? Tell us a Joe Burrow detail or story that you have that maybe the public doesn't see that makes him so good.
Yeah, I just think that the kid's preparation is second to none. As you just watch him, how he approaches each day. He goes into practice every week, and whether we're winning or not, it just seems like he's always taking the blame for things that are going bad, and that's just all I needed to see in our franchise quarterback. He's going to have a lot of success in this league, and I can't wait to be right next to him doing it.
Yeah, we can't wait to see it. Burrow, obviously the leader on the offense. In the meantime, you, my friend, haven't missed a defensive start in 3 seasons. What is the most challenging part about being a leader for that defensive side to look to you for?
Yeah, I think that you have to, I feel like you have to kind of sit back and watch it, because that's just how it always has been for me. Throughout high school, you always kind of watch the senior captain and stuff like that. I've been fortunate enough to another guy, Sean Williams, who never really got a lot of recognition, but the things that he does that he did for the organization with the Bengals that I watched him do in those 2 years was just outstanding by him. So I think it's kind of my role to kind of step up now to be a little bit more vocal, instead of just doing it by the actions my first 3 years. So I'm very excited for the challenge, and I'm ready to be a leader of this defense for sure.
Jessie, no doubt you're a leader already on that defense. And earlier on, you mentioned being raised by a single mother. You're very close with your mom. And I want to ask you, I think we've got a little photo here of you with your mom. There you are right there. Man, what a great shot right there. And of course, there's no better relationship than a mother and a son. There you are, dancing right there. That's great. Look at that. Look at the smiles right there. It's special to see that. How has her influence impacted you both on and off the field?
Yeah, it's just I just really think about what my mom has accomplished, not just for herself. That's the main thing, just how unselfish she is. I think that's just something that I apply to my life every day, not just on the football field, but off the field as well. By just, just always doing things right, living right, making sure you're working hard. And just like I said, and just live what was dealt to you. And sometimes that's not always great. And I think the biggest, the most successful people, they find a way to balance it out, and never get too high, never get too low, and kind of find a balance to always walk on. So, like I said, it's not even just my mom. I've been very fortunate to have great coaches as well, from Fort Wayne all the way up until college until now, that has played a part of my success and the man I am today. So.
It's powerful, and we love that relationship, but we also love the relationship of Bengals fans and this team. There might be no more loyal fan base through some really dark times for the Bengals, and they've had a few peaks in the last decade. We watched the Browns go from years of mediocrity to the playoffs this past season. The Bengals have not been to the playoffs in several years, and people are talking that with Burrow being back healthy, with you on the defense, that there might be a chance for 2021, the Bengals being the sleeper team. Help us shed some light on Cincinnati and maybe give a little hope to Bengals fans. What can they expect for next season with this young core?
Yeah, I have never been the guy that's going to sell you that, hey, we're going to have this thing right by next year, because it just never works like that. But I do know that we have a lot of really good guys in the locker room, from coaches to the players in the locker room. I know that we have the right guys that are in there, and I'm very excited for this next season. We're going to do a lot of good things, and we're going to shock the world.
Jessie, thanks so much for joining us this morning. I don't have to tell you to make sure you get a card and some flowers for Mom this weekend right now. These days coming up, just a friendly reminder. And go wake up Jalen. Tell him you got some workouts to do. You've already been putting in the work. Now it's his turn.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys for having me on here.
That's
Thanks,
awesome,
man.
young man.
Thanks, Jessie.